Hi everyone, this is the video that you need to watch if you missed live class on Tuesday, March 9th. Today we are going to be learning some new vocab words. Before we get started with our vocab words, I do want to give some announcements. You may have heard that St. Paul will be returning to in-person school for fourth quarter. So that means students in grades 6th through 12th can come into school for fourth quarter. Fourth quarter starts on April 14th. And just some announcements about that is that your parents or guardians can choose for their students to come in person or stay in distance learning. There will be a parent information session tomorrow, which is Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Google Meet. If you go to the Washington website, you can join the call there and have your parents watch on your iPad. Also, parents or guardians will need to fill out a form if they do not want their students to come into the buildings for in-person learning. The deadline for that form to be filled out is March 11th, so you need to get that done as soon as possible. So our goal for today is I can write example sentences for our new vocab. So today we're going to start with a greeting. We're going to learn about our new vocab. We're going to talk about our new unit. We're going to learn about our new vocab. We'll have a discussion and you will finish up your assignment. So the greeting question for today is, what do you think the word immigrant means? What do you think the word immigrant means? If you're watching this video, send me an email with what you think. So we are starting a new unit that we will be working on until the end of the quarter. So we have about 4 weeks left of the quarter. So I will be doing this new unit. So this unit will be focusing on immigration and personal storytelling. And we'll learn about immigration, adjectives, past tense verbs, and how to tell our own stories. At the end of the unit, you will write a story about you and kind of like a story from your life, and that will be graded as our summative. So that will be what we're working on for the rest of the quarter. So today, your assignment is to do the P5 ELD 3.9 word wall. So what I would like you to do is while you're watching the video, we are going to be filling this out together. So pause the video right now, go into Schoology, and put this worksheet into Notability. Okay? We're going to go through these words together, and you'll need to fill in the definition. Okay? So pause and split your screen so that you're ready to go. Okay, so now we're going to be ready to go. So I want you to split your screen so that on one side you have this video and one side you have Notability. So the first word on your worksheet is migration. Your job is to write down the definition, right? So your worksheet looks like this. Right here, fill in the definition for migration. If you need to pause it and write it down. So the word migration means moving from one place to another to live there, okay? Once you write down the definition, you'll need to write down an example sentence. Try to use your own sentence. Don't just steal mine. That would be the difference from a 3 or a 4. A 3 would be using my sentence. A 4 would be creating your own sentence. An example sentence is when we use the word in a sentence. So my sentence says, migration happens for many reasons. What can you say? Okay. And then, so you wrote in the definition, write a sentence, and then you need to answer the question, why does the picture show the definition? So here's the picture. It's also on the slide. Write a sentence telling me how this picture helps you see the definition. Once you're done with that, let's move on to the next word. So I think this picture kind of shows migration because all the different people are standing on the world and they're all kind of moving around, going to different places, right? So in migration, a good way to remember migration is that the M in migration, the definition starts with an M with moving, right? So migration means moving, right? You're not just going like, oh, I'm going to go visit my grandma and she lives in a different state. No, you're actually going there to live there. So it's not just like visiting or a vacation. You're moving somewhere to live there. That's what migration means. Our next word is immigration. Notice that they're really similar, these words, migration and immigration. But immigration means to come to another country to live there. It's the act of immigrating, okay? Notice that the word migration, our last word, is inside the word immigration. The only difference is there's another I and M in the beginning. This I and M means, those letters mean to come, right? So that's why immigration means coming to another country. You're not leaving a country, you're coming to a country, right? An example sentence is immigration is very common in the United States. A lot of people move and come into the United States. And this picture kind of shows that, right? You see people come for lots and lots of different ways. There's an airplane, people are walking, and it kind of looks like they're like maybe walking into the door of the United States. You see the United States flag. So on your worksheet, pause the video if you need to, write down the definition, write down a sentence, and then write down how does this picture show the definition. When you're ready, press play, and we'll move on to our next word, which is the word immigrate. What's hard about all these words is that they are all very, very similar. They're similar in spelling and they're similar in definition, but yet they're all still very different. The word immigrate means to come to another country to live there. This is a verb. Verb is an action word. So that means you're doing it. It's something you are doing. You're actively moving. You're walking. You're flying. You're on a boat, right? This is what you're doing. So an example sentence would be many people immigrate to the United States every year. I think this picture kind of helps shows the definition because people are actively moving, right? They have their suitcases and backpacks and they're actively walking, coming into, looks like a city here. You can see the skyline and the shadows. So immigrate is a verb. Verb is an action word. It's something you do. Immigration is a noun. So it's a thing, okay? It's something we can talk about. It's not necessarily what they're doing. They immigrate is what you do. Immigration is what you talk about. Okay, and our last word is immigrant. An immigrant is a person who comes to another country to live there. Okay, so now we're talking about a specific person, right? These are people. Immigrants are people, right? So, example sentence, Maria is an immigrant. She came to the United States last year. This picture does a good job of showing that, the definition, because you can see the different people standing on the country of the United States, the map. You can see different flags from the places that they lived before. So, on your worksheet now, you should have all the definitions filled in. You need to use the definitions that I gave you. If you just Google a definition, it's not the same, it doesn't count. You'll have to redo it. And then write an example sentence. You get a 3 if you use my definition, or my example sentence, and you get a 4 if you come up with your own. And then explain how the picture matches the definition. Okay? Once you're done with the worksheet, you can turn it in, but we're not done with today's lesson yet. We have one more thing we're going to do, which is watching our vocabulary video and having a discussion. So we're going to watch the video.
Migration is the movement of people. It happens today, and it's been happening for hundreds of thousands of years. In fact, no matter where you live, your ancestors took a journey to get you where you are right now. Vocabulary. Let's go. Yo, migration is the movement of people from one place to another. Many come to America. Look at Marie. Her parents came when she was just 3. They were pulled by money and opportunity, pushed by a lack of jobs that led to poverty. When people migrate, it can be permanently or temporarily. Push factors of forces that drive people away. I don't mean like Porsches, war, famine, bad economy, natural disasters, and poverty. Pull factors, do it backwards. They make a new place more attractive. Jobs, freedom of religion, of politics, or maybe you're sick of the metropolis. Immigration is when you move into. Emigration is when you exit. So you might be an immigrant from one place, but you were an immigrant when you left it. Left home for a new place. I plan to be here for a long time. Call it migration. Some people are forced. I chose with my own mind. Push factors, push people away from the place where they stay. Pull factors, pull people into a new place. We hope for a new day. Voluntary migration means he or she chose, and nobody forces where he or she goes. Like in California, when they hit gold, some people move to the West Coast. William left his Irish community for the U.S. and more opportunities. Even if it's voluntary, it can be that a place's push factors make you want to leave. Like when Ireland was really low on food, the famine forced William to move. But some are made to move. Forced migration, like Africans made to be slaves in our nation, or Native Americans who didn't plan to move till settlers took their land. Imagine if your family was forced to go along the trail of tears, far from home. Left home for a new place. I plan to be here for a long time. Call it migration. Some people are forced. I chose with my own mind. Push factors, push people away from the place where they stay. Pull factors, pull people into a new place. We hope for a new day. Migration can be seasonal, moving each year when there's a reason to. For work, or due to climate conditions, Matt's family follows crop harvest. Listen, sometimes immigrants can be refugees who fear persecution that I hope you never see. They live outside their country of origin due to their race, politics, or religion. Shira left Russia, said I have to do this because she was persecuted for being Jewish. Her family made a difficult trek through Europe and then further west to a land with freedom of religion. She could feel a whole new life beginning on Ellis Island. Yeah, that's why she saw the Statue of Liberty. She had tears in her eyes. Left home for a new place. I plan to be here for a long time. Call it migration. Some people are forced. I chose with my own mind. Push factors, push people away from the place where they stay. Pull factors, pull people into a new place. We hope for a new day.
Okay, so that was a video on migration. Hopefully you heard some of the vocab words that we just learned about in there. So I want us to have a little discussion. And since you weren't in class, you can't have that discussion with us. But I want you to think about the answers and think about what I say, so that you can still have that same information. So I want us to think about number one, how are the words similar? So we just learned 4 vocab words, and they're all pretty similar, right? They have similar spellings, they have similar definitions. They're all about like moving, right? And like kind of confusing. But let's think about, how are the words different? Well, they all have different definitions, even if it's just by a little bit, right? Let's look back at the words, right? Immigration here is a noun, which is a thing, where immigrate is a verb, right? An immigrant is a person. Migration is generally moving, where immigration, you have to come to a specific country, right? So they're all a little bit different, and that's why it was important for us to write down the definitions so that we can see their differences and kind of practice using them. So I want to know, why do you think these words are important? Why would we talk about them? Why are we talking about immigration? Well, immigration is really important to everyone's story. Everyone in the United States, unless you are Native American, is an immigrant to this country. That means that your family, whether or not maybe it was you or your parents, your grandparents, or maybe even your ancestors, like your great grandparents or your great 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 grandparents, right? So, someone in your family tree, whether it was you or your ancestors, they came to the United States. They were an immigrant here. And now you have that history of your family moving for whatever reason, right? I'm an immigrant to this country because I'm not Native American. I'm not, my family was not originally born here. We came from other countries and now I live here. And that might be, and that's similar to you. If you are not Native American, you are also an immigrant to this country, right? If you've ever heard the saying that the United States is a nation of immigrants, it's because we all come from different places and it's all part of our stories and our identity, right? We just got done writing about a paragraph about our identities. We talked about this, how with the book, Where Are You From? We all have come from different places, and being where we're from and our family story plays a role in our identity. So that's why it's important to talk about, right? It's very relevant to our lives and the history of our country, and maybe it's something that is important to you about things that are happening in politics. So let's go to question number 4. So, what is one reason that a person would migrate? So, move for any reason. The video gave a lot of examples, right? It talked about how people might move for a new job or better opportunities. They gave the example of a famine in Ireland where people had to leave so they can get more food. They talked about how there was forced migration, how they gave an example of Native Americans forced off their land and having to move. They gave an example of people from Africa being forced into slavery and coming over to the Americas, whether it was the United States or somewhere in Central or South America, to be an enslaved person. There are lots of reasons why people move. Some of them good, maybe some of them bad. And then the last question, I want to know, what is something that stands out to you from the video? If you're watching this video, send me your answer to question number 5. So in your email, your greeting answer and question number 5. I want to know what stood out to you from the video. Okay, and that's it. So you should have that assignment done. Turn that in Schoology, and I hope to see you in a Google Meet really soon. Bye.